Guys, my name is Padilla. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm a lifelong poker player.
And how long have you been playing poker?
I learned the game, man, when I was really young. I learned from uncles in my heyday. I was 6, 8 years old. It wasn't until I joined the military when I started taking it a little bit more serious. Playing games with people that we lived in the barracks with. When we went on deployment overseas, on our downtime, that was a lot of poker time. A lot of games being played around our base, and that's kind of where I kind of grasped the concept of learning the game in depth to be able to be profitable at it, to take it to the next step, to learn more, to see, where the game can take me. And it wasn't until maybe about 5 years after my military days when I really started playing, for money, playing cash games, playing tournaments, around the West Coast, things like that. So after doing that, 5 years out of the military, since then it's going on 10 years strong now.
Okay.
I've been able to use poker as a tool to, boost my income, be able to live a little bit more freely in life. But as anything, it has its ups and downs. So, we have our high moments, we have our low moments. But other than that, man, it's just a great game to be around. It's a real people-person game. That's what drew me into it. That's why I love it. So that's why I keep doing it.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Let's say we have a brand new player who comes to you and say, okay, I'm very interested in the game. I've learned the rules. Are there certain concepts or basics that you would tell them to start working on that looking back now that you would tell your younger self to start focusing on, to pay more attention to when it comes to poker?
You wouldn't realize this by watching me play at the tables now, but one thing I needed to learn right out the gate is patience. I was one of those erratic players that wanted to play every hand because I was in the game, I just wanted to see flops. I wanted to see, it didn't matter what hand I had. I just always wanted to play because we were playing a game. I took it as a game. But as time progressed and you learn more in depth about, position, different skills around the table, where it really started taking into play a little bit more on patience. I really buckled down and calmed myself and learn your starting hands, learn your position. Your table image, I think, is really important. How you present yourself to the table is how people are going to look at you when you play the game.
Definitely.
So there's a little bit of everything that you want to kind of sit down. To be honest, it really all depends on what kind of poker player you want to be. If you're just here to enjoy the game, learning the basics, learning the fundamentals, great. Come sit down, enjoy yourself, have a good time. If you want to be a profitable player, if you want to learn more about the game, that's when you start getting into in-depth stuff like hand rankings, starting hands, position, bet sizing, things like that. What are good positions to bluff, things like that. So it all depends on the player. Whatever their experience is, if you come in as a novice player and you want to learn more about the game, just continue to ask questions. Learn from the players around you that are more skilled. So it's just picking one another's brains, I'd say.
Okay, we also got information that you actually cashed in the WPT when it came to Tucson, Arizona, at Del Sol.
Yeah.
So please tell us about that experience. Was it the first time you ever played the WPT? And if so, how did you mentally approach the game, whereas you were able to outlast over 200 players?
It was a really good tournament. I was really, I was kind of proud. We really haven't had a series like that come through Tucson in I'd say forever. For the WPT to come into Tucson and hold events here was a really big deal. It really brought out a lot of the Tucson poker community, as well as the Phoenix community. They really haven't had anything like that. They have a great, arena with talking sticks and tournaments and games over there. But as far as bringing into something to Tucson, it was a really big deal. So for me to play that game, and I've played tournaments before. I played tournaments in Vegas, LA, Phoenix. I've traveled the West Coast. But to have something of that prestige coming to Tucson, your hometown, I took a little bit more. I was a little bit more encouraged to play, to see how I could outlast my fellow man here in my hometown. So to play that event, it was a great experience. I had a great turnout, like you said. I ended up placing 15th, so I made the final 2 tables.
And that was a 2-day tournament.
It was, yeah. That first day, I'll tell you what, it took a lot of me to go ahead and outlast 12-hour play, to be able to make it to the end of the day. And it got to a point where, we were really short-stacked. And you just had to make moves. You had to be patient, wait for the right spots. And I was able to make it out of day 1. Went on to day 2 with, I think there was probably maybe a little bit more than 60-some players left with the top 35, 30 cashing. So even that hurdle on day 2, you know, to stay poised and to know when to make your moves, when to hold your position, you know, to be able to outlast and go down to that number. You know, there was a lot of preparation into it. I do a lot of reading. I take myself out of the game completely. I won't sit at a table. I'll sit there, I'll jot notes. I'll go over my hand histories, you know, I'll mentally prepare myself. Because I already know the grueling hours of play, sitting there having to play for a long time. You don't want to get yourself too tired, you know, playing games leading up to the moment, which is my own personal opinion. You know, I'll take poker away. If I'm taking a big tournament like that, I'll sit away from poker for about a week or 2 at a time, hit the books, you know, put together a game plan on how I want to approach it, how I want to play, and based on the system I put together, we just go with it and see how it works.
I got a question for you. Was there any memorable hand that you played during the WPT that maybe took you to the next level? Did you ever find yourself in a complex situation that you can share with the audience that really was? A lot of times when you play these big, long tournaments, there are always those hands and those situations that can make or break you.
Yeah.
So I would love to know if you ran across any hand or situation like that.
Off the top of my head, of what I try to remember, it's been quite a while now, but I remember I folded pocket queens in a big situation. I don't remember what exactly how the hand came out to be, but I had pocket queens and I had raised pre-flop. You know, did everything I was supposed to do. I had only one caller, so I put them on a pretty strong pair. I thought maybe jacks, tens, and so the board came out. It was really low. I let out thinking, you know, my queens are good. I'm gonna lead out strong, take the pot right here, and call it a day. Move on to the next one. And he ended up shoving over the top. So, you know, I sat there and I tanked probably about a good 5 minutes, you know, and that's the most I've ever tanked. I usually give people grief about, you know, sitting there and having to make decisions, you know, for too long. But it really had to, you know, mentally grinded me as far as, you know, what should I do? And I just took it as far as the aspect of, okay, if I'm not beat, great call. If I'm beat, you know, I'm basically out of the tournament. It probably would have left me with maybe 2 or 3 blinds, you know. So it was really like, am I going to make a move here and be okay, or do I put them on what I thought I put them, which was kings or aces, you know. Especially, it came more to mind after he shoved. I put him, because like I said, pre-flop I put him jacks, tens, maybe I had him beat, but that overshove really put me to the test on what I wanted to do.
Right.
And being how it was the first day of tournament play, you know, I didn't want to stack myself off, you know, so early in the day. I went ahead and just folded it, and coming to find out later on break, it was a good gentleman. He was from the Phoenix area. He ended up coming and telling me, because I ended up folding face up.
Okay, so he saw you.
Yeah, and so he saw me on break, and he came over. He's all, man, he's all, I can't believe he folded that. And he's all, but good fold. I had kings.
And one of the things that I've always found interesting amongst poker players, especially when they get to a higher level, they start talking amongst one another, learning things from it. Because I can remember times when the guys would come to you in a situation like that, like, what did I do wrong to make you fold? So that they're trying to improve their game. Are there people that you talk to now as in relation to poker to help sharpen your skills? And
there's a couple. There's some close friends that I talk to, because to me, poker's a game of tells. Well, you don't want to give somebody too much information. I always feel like if I sit down and help a player out, I kind of giving him my information on how I play. You know what I mean? Not that I wouldn't do that, because I have friends in the poker world, and you know, I don't mind advising on them on certain plays or what they think they should have done different or what they should have done in certain situations. But yeah, if it's a close friend, you know, that we want to run over some hands and say, hey, you know, we had a session. As a matter of fact, last week I went to the casino with a poker playing friend of mine, and after he was done, he was like, hey, you know, give me a call when you leave from here. I want to, you know, run some stuff off of you. You know, tell me if I would have played this a little bit different. And so there are times that I'll do that, you know, but for the most part, I try to keep my game to myself. Novice players, I work with novice players because, you know, they're not quite there yet. So I don't mind, you know, giving a little information to help a player out.
So we have a big promotion coming up now. The first player to win 5 tournaments, we're actually going to sponsor them into the Del Sol $5,000 guarantee tournament. Do you, sir, think that you will be able to take the 5 down? I spoke earlier with George, and he says he's coming back out of retirement next week, and he'll be taking it down.
George retires like 3-4 times a year, man. I mean, there's no telling with that guy. But I'll tell you what. There's a lot of competition. First off, let me say this. As far as bar poker in Tucson, by far, Marlon, you put on a great show here. You know, you and you know, some of the dealers that you have and some of the people that TDs that come and run the games. You know, it's a really clean, fun environment for those who not even, you know, if you're a long-time player or a beginner wanting to learn the game, bar poker is definitely a good place to start off at. You know, come learn the game, come be amongst the crowd, and just, you know, something to get out of the house, you know. I've only been doing bar poker for about 2-3 years, and I've grown to love it, though, because, you know, not only that, instead of, you know, it takes you away from the schedule of grinding, you know, all the cash games, all the tournament play. Sometimes, yeah, you want to play that, yeah, you want to go, you know, do your thing, but it allows you to work on your game against all different types of skill set players. So that's why I like it.
Is there a different strategy you have to focus on when you're playing players who are playing for free versus, let's say, the casino? And how do you make that shift and that adjustment when you do play bar poker?
I try to keep my game the same, so that way I don't get caught into losing where I'm at. Because, you know, if I play one way here and I play a different way at the casino, then next thing you know, if I'm sitting at a table and I'm kind of mixing in a little bit of both, which might kind of hurt my game. So I try to stay solid and just stay to what I know. But in free poker, I'd say you'd have to be a lot more patient because you have just so many different types of players. You have those players that will play absolutely any two cards, and, you know, and there's no way of telling of what they might have or if they hit or, you know, or how strong they actually are. So a little bit more patience if you want to be a winning poker player, you know, when it comes down to this kind of structure. But as you were saying, as far for the, you know, the Drive for Five, man, it's a great promotion. It's brought out the best of the best. You know, I see poker players come in here that are profitable poker players, you know, playing in casinos and tournaments that come in here just for the competition to see if it can be done, you know. And 5 tournaments in a tough league, I'll tell you what, I don't know how long it'll take, but I heard about this female that's here. She already got 2 notches on her belt. So, you know, it's good competition. It's good for the game. It's good for Tucson poker. You know, it gets people out here, you know, those that want to take their game to the next level and say, hey, you know what, I have an opportunity here to win 5 free games, take my skill set, you know, to a casino entry tournament and see how I do, you know.
Well, thanks a whole lot, sir. It's really a pleasure to have you come in on our pilot podcast.